Welcome, MHP Rhino Nation, to another episode. Let's get dive deep into MHP's baby.
Yeah. How often do you feel like you're really seeing people? I mean, beyond the smiles, the polite stuff.
Right, like there's always something hidden beneath the surface. It can feel like you're just guessing sometimes.
Exactly. It's like you're struggling to understand what's really going on behind the words. Okay, so let's unpack this. Today we're going to dig into some really profound insights from Friedrich Nietzsche. We're looking at 18 truths he uncovered that supposedly teach you how to read anyone instantly.
Yeah, and it's important to frame this right. This deep dive isn't about, getting one up on people or judging them.
Right, not about manipulation.
Not at all. It's more about developing a skill, really, learning to spot patterns, connect some dots maybe, understand the motivations, the fears, even the self-deceptions driving people.
There's a surprising twist, right?
Definitely. The surprising bonus is you end up getting these unexpected insights into yourself, too.
Okay, so Nietzsche's foundational idea, he thought we're basically trained from kids to just trust what people say.
Pretty much. But he warned, don't be fooled by language itself.
Okay.
Because people often speak from, survival instincts.
Ego.
Fear, exactly. Not always from a place of pure truth, which makes you wonder, like you said, what's the real story under that surface personality?
So that surface, it's like armor.
That's a great way to put it. He saw it as armor, yeah, or like a role we play. Most people, he thought, are like actors in a play they didn't even write.
He had that quote, didn't he? Every profound spirit needs a mask.
That's the one. And it sounds harsh, but it wasn't meant as an insult. It was more of a warning. Don't mistake the mask for the actual person underneath.
Okay, so if everyone's wearing a mask, how do we even begin to see past it? What's the first clue?
Well, his first big insight, truth one, is that everyone wears a mask to survive. It's not because they're inherently fake or malicious.
It's more because they're scared.
Exactly. Scared. They create this version of themselves they hope gets accepted, a persona built for safety, maybe not total honesty.
Makes sense. But masks slip.
Oh, absolutely. They're never perfect. And that's the key insight here. The very first sign of truth leaking out. It's usually tension.
Tension. How so?
Well, if you want to start reading people, watch for what makes them uncomfortable. What topics do they shift away from? Where do they get defensive? That discomfort zone, that's often where the mask cracks and the real person starts peeking through.
Okay, so watch for discomfort. Now, building on that, what about the things people really dislike in others? Nietzsche had a sharp take on that, didn't he?
Oh yeah, a very sharp take. He called it projection. And his second truth is basically that what someone hates in others often reveals what they're hiding in themselves.
So like seeing your own flaws mirrored back.
Precisely. It's like a psychological mirror. Someone who's constantly mocking arrogance. They might be deeply insecure about their own worth. Or someone always pointing out dishonesty. Maybe they're wrestling with a truth they haven't faced themselves.
Wow. So we hate in others what we fear in ourselves.
That's the core idea. So don't just look at what people admire. Look closely at what they criticize. It tells you a lot.
That's powerful. Okay, so we've covered words and criticisms, but what about, silence? We usually think communication's all about talking.
Right, but Nietzsche flipped that. He suggested sometimes the most important messages are in the gaps, in the silence.
So his third truth is what?
Silence reveals more than words. He saw language sometimes as a tool to avoid reality, not engage with it.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about when someone pauses for just a bit too long before answering a tough question, or they consistently dodge certain topics, or give these really short, almost rehearsed-sounding replies to deep questions.
Yeah.
That silence, that hesitation. And Nietzsche would say it's louder than any speech. Someone avoiding vulnerability like that, they're showing you exactly what they fear.
Okay, staying with what people choose to show. What about people who are really loud about their own goodness? The overly virtuous types.
Ah, yes. Nietzsche was wary of that. His fourth truth is that excessive virtue is often disguised vanity.
Vanity.
Yeah, or he called it the will to power in disguise. Sometimes, loudly proclaiming your morality, always correcting others. It can become a mask for feeling superior.
So the louder the virtue signal,
the more likely there's something being hidden behind it. Real goodness, genuine kindness, it doesn't usually need a constant spotlight or applause. It just exists.
This next one feels really important. It changes how you see, lies. We hear, I'm fine, or I'm over it, and sometimes since it's not true. But Nietzsche said it's not always about lying to us first.
Exactly. That's a crucial distinction he made. His fifth truth. People don't lie to you first, they lie to themselves.
They lie to themselves first. How does that work?
He saw self-deception not necessarily as evil, but as a defense mechanism. It's a way to cope, to keep functioning when reality is painful. They rehearse these lines, I'm fine, I don't care. So often they start believing them.
So when someone's story feels off or inconsistent,
Realize they've probably been telling that story to themselves for a long time. And those little inconsistencies, those cracks, that's where the truth leaks out. That's how you can start to read the situation.
okay, what about displays of superiority? Like someone always acting like they're better than everyone else. We often mistake that for confidence, right?
We do. But Nietzsche's sixth truth flips that. He argued that where someone feels superior, they're often hiding inferiority.
Hiding inferiority. So it's overcompensation.
Pure overcompensation. Think about it. Someone constantly broadcasting their achievements, their status, their power. It's rarely about genuine strength. More likely, it's covering a deep fear that they're just not enough.
And someone putting others down.
Probably terrified of being insignificant, of being overlooked themselves, Nietzsche believed real confidence doesn't need to compete or dominate. It just is. So if you see that big display of superiority, look deeper. Behind the throne, you might find a scared child wearing a crown.
Okay, so we've looked at how people build these masks, these personas. Now let's maybe go a layer deeper into where those masks start to crack under pressure. What did Nietzsche think drives most of our actions deep down?
Well, he didn't see the self as this fixed, stable thing. He saw it as a performance, really, a role we piece together to navigate the world.
And when that performance is threatened,
That's when the truth starts leaking out. And what drives most actions, according to him, isn't conscious desire as much as it is, well, fear.
fear. That brings us to truth number 7.
Exactly. Most actions are driven by unconscious fear. He believed humans rarely act purely from wanting something. More often, they act from a deep feel of losing something.
Losing what?
Oh, all sorts of things. Fear of abandonment, rejection, humiliation, failure, losing status, love, even their sense of self-worth. It's less about what they want and more about what they absolutely cannot stand to lose.
So to read someone, don't just focus on their stated goals.
Right. Instead, ask yourself, what are they truly afraid of losing here? That underlying fear. That's often where the real motivation, the truth, lies. It's pushing their actions from below the surface.
And if fear is such a big driver, how does it show up when people get really critical or judgmental of others?
Well, that ties back nicely to projection, Nietzsche's 8th truth. When someone criticizes too much, it's projection.
So it's rarely about the person they're actually criticizing.
Almost never, according to Nietzsche. He'd say judgment is nearly always about the self. The guy who mocks emotional people, maybe terrified of his own feelings bubbling up. The woman who constantly belittles others for how they look, probably locked in her own secret battle with her reflection.
So projection isn't just a defense.
He saw it as more than that. It's like a confession. It tells you exactly where that person's own pain or insecurity lives. It's a powerful way to understand what a critic truly fears in themselves.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly. Confidence, we admire it, right? But Nietzsche saw a potential dark side, especially with false confidence. What did he think might be hiding behind that?
Guilt. His 9th truth is that guilt often hides behind false confidence.
Guilt. That's unexpected.
Yeah, he saw it in people who perform certainty, maybe leaders, teachers, anyone who seems overly sure, always in control, almost aggressively confident.
You meet people like that. There's sometimes a tension.
Exactly. Watch them long enough, you might see it, the tight jaw, the over-preparation. When someone seems chronically confident, almost unnaturally so, Nietzsche suggests looking for the guilt they might be trying to bury.
Guilt about what?
Could be anything. Something they regret, a past action, maybe even a version of themselves they feel ashamed of and are desperately trying to prove they're not anymore. Real peace, real inner confidence. It doesn't need that kind of performance.
Okay, truth number 10. This one sounds subtle. People betray themselves through exaggeration. How does that work? What's being covered up?
Exaggeration is like a tell, as poker players say. It's the ego trying to shout down doubt.
Examples.
Someone constantly saying, oh, I don't care what anyone thinks. They probably care. A lot. Someone insisting, I'm always happy, everything's great. Likely not entirely true.
So extremism points to imbalance.
That's what Nietzsche believed. Extremism in any direction, extreme claims, extreme emotions, usually signals an imbalance, not strength.
Yeah.
So you read the insecurity underneath, ask yourself, what doubt are they trying to silence with all that noise?
And what about the need for control? Some people seem obsessed with controlling everything, everyone.
Nietzsche had a clear take on that too. His 11th truth. Those who seek control often fear inner chaos.
Inner chaos.
Yeah. When someone's inner world feels messy, disordered, out of control, they try to compensate by obsessively managing the outer world.
Like micromanaging or freaking out over small changes.
Exactly. Or needing to dominate people. It's not really coming from a place of strength. It's because something inside them feels dangerously out of control. So the stricter the outer shell, often the more fragile the inner self. It's a defense.
Okay, this brings us to the 12th truth. You called it haunting, especially with social media and that constant look at me vibe.
It really is. Truth 12. The louder the performance, the emptier the core.
Wow. So constant performing isn't strength.
Nietzsche saw it as desperation. When someone is always performing, always on, always needing an audience, it's often because they deep down don't believe they'll be seen or valued or loved without it.
So it's not about power.
It's more like a whisper of need. The person who genuinely knows themselves, who feels whole inside, doesn't need to be constantly watched. They just are. The constant show is often hiding an inner emptiness.
Okay, we've covered the masks, the fears, the cracks. Now let's go to the deepest level. You mentioned that behind behavior is belief, and behind belief, a wound. This is about the soul, the core story.
Exactly. Nietzsche wasn't just about exposing patterns. He wanted to illuminate where they came from. And understanding this helps us see people differently, not as villains, not purely as victims either. Just as complex humans trying to survive, often wearing masks they didn't even consciously choose. It's about getting to the root cause.
So if we want to truly understand someone, where do we start? We often think arguments are about logic, facts, but Nietzsche disagreed.
He fundamentally challenged that. His 13th truth is pretty provocative. No one speaks from logic, they speak from pain.
From pain.
Not logic.
He argued that our core beliefs, our strong opinions, are often shaped first by what hurt us, what scared us, what we resolved never to feel again. Then we build the logical justifications around those emotional foundations.
So don't just debate the logic.
Right. Ask maybe just internally what might have broken them. What are they defending against? What wound is this opinion protecting? It shifts your perspective entirely. Their opinions might feel like attacks, but maybe they're shields. Their arguments aren't just arguments, they're defenses. That's a huge shift. Okay, truth 14. Nietzsche apparently had a specific test for someone's real character, their real power.
He did. And it wasn't about how they treated the powerful. It was how someone reacts to weakness reveals their power.
Reacts to weakness, not physical power then.
No, not at all. Something much deeper. Think about those moments when someone is vulnerable or makes a mistake or is just down. How does the other person react?
Do they kick them when they're down or offer a hand?
Exactly. Nietzsche believed real strength isn't shown by dominating or punishing. It's shown through restraint, compassion, empathy. It's easy to mock vulnerability or punish errors. But the person who can witness weakness without judgment, who can sit with sadness, who can choose forgiveness when they could have punished, that person, he'd say, has won the tougher inner battle.
It really makes you think.
Yeah.
How do you react in those moments?
Precisely. It reflects back on us.
Okay, moving to truth 15. When someone fears being forgotten, they chase attention. We all know people who seem to need the spotlight constantly, right? Every story, every entrance. Notice me.
Yeah, and Nietzsche saw right through that. He believed that hunger for attention often stems from a really deep fear. The fear of being invisible.
Invisible.
Of being erased. Of living and dying without leaving any mark, without mattering. So people create noise, they demand attention, not necessarily because they love the spotlight, but because the silence, the thought of being unnoticed is unbearable.
So sometimes attention-seeking isn't just vanity.
Sometimes it's a cry, a desperate plea. See me, remember me, tell me I exist.
Wow. Okay, this next one. You said it's one of his boldest and maybe hardest to admit even about ourselves. Truth 16. The person they attack is often the person they envy. Why is that so tough?
It's tough because it requires admitting that our criticism, our attacks, might not come from righteous anger or objective judgment, but from admiration that feels impossible to attain.
So we attack what we admire but feel we can't be.
Often, yes. Tearing down someone successful, mocking someone confident, gossiping about someone who seems free. Nietzsche suggested that criticism is often just easier than admitting admiration, especially when that admiration highlights something we feel we lack.
So envy is unspoken desire.
Exactly. It's like the soul whispering, I want that too, but I don't believe I can have it, or I don't believe I'm allowed. So it gets twisted into animosity. It's a hidden confession.
And truth 17. This feels very psychoanalytic. People act out their childhood, not their beliefs. People repeat, not change.
That was his angle. We don't just change, we often repeat. We repeat the roles we were forced into as kids, the fears we were taught, the family dynamics we never fully escaped.
Could you give examples?
Sure. A child who is never listened to might grow into an adult who struggles to listen to others. Someone punished for showing emotion might become overly cold or rigidly logical. A child who had to constantly earn love might spend their life performing for affection.
So we think we're acting on our adult beliefs.
But often, we're just reenacting the past. Our behavior becomes a kind of biography. Behind almost every adult, there's a child still trying to figure out how to feel safe, how to get their needs met based on those old rules. The script was written long ago.
Okay, this is the final truth, number 18. It feels like it ties everything together. You said patterns are key.
Absolutely. People might not know how to articulate their deepest pains or fears, but they will show you, again and again, through their patterns.
So truth 18 is, their patterns are a confession if you know how to listen.
Precisely. Think about recurring behaviors. The person who always ghosts relationships when things get serious. The one who overworks constantly to avoid quiet or stillness. The one who flirts with everyone but never truly connects.
These aren't random.
Not according to Nietzsche. They're confessions, expressed through action instead of words. They're saying, this is how I protect myself, or this is where I got hurt before, or this is the outcome I desperately fear repeating.
So learning to read patterns, not just words.
It changes everything. You stop taking things so personally. You start judging so quickly. You start understanding. You become less reactive, more observant.
Wow. This whole deep dive, it really gives you a framework, a powerful way to see people more clearly. But like you said at the start, it's not for control.
Not at all. It's ultimately for grace maybe, for compassion. Because you start to see the hidden struggles.
And ultimately, you're not just reading people, you're remembering yourself.
That's absolutely right. Every single one of these truths. It wasn't just about spotting things in others. It was a mirror. It points back to your own patterns, your own masks, your own fears, maybe your own childhood scripts playing out.
So the clearer you see others,
the clearer you inevitably see yourself. Understanding these universal human tendencies out there is a direct route to understanding what's going on in here.
it really feels like Nietzsche didn't just want us to be observers. He wanted us to wake up, didn't he?
I think so. To really know that everything we judge in other people is probably something we carry within ourselves too. And maybe everything we admire in others is something we secretly long to embody or unlock in ourselves.
So, a final thought for everyone listening. What stands out most to you from all this? Which truth resonated? And how might looking through this lens change the way you see the world, and maybe more importantly, the way you see yourself?